So welcome again to all the E-Type Club members and E-Type Jaguar enthusiasts. I just wanted to do a little update on this carburetor situation. I'm actually waiting for some new floats to come, but I just wanted to, I pointed this out in my E-Type article, but if you look here, you can actually see this float here is actually is not punctured and there's no fluid inside. You can see it's actually floating straight up, whereas the other one has got a tiny bit of fluid in it. And you can see it's kind of cocked over on an angle. In fact, that might be a better thing. You can see that's nice and straight and that one's on an angle. There's another one here in this carburetor, and hopefully without any, I'll try and shake it and maybe you can hear the sound. You can hear that little sound. This is the easiest way to actually check if the floats are punctured in any way. You'll never see them even when you clean them up. But if there's any fluid in there, that float is useless. Even though when it sits in the float chamber, it's sitting on this shaft, and this is something I pointed out in my E-Type article. If these carburetors have been lying dry for a long period of time, the chance of you breaking this stem here is pretty high. So if you have got some carburetors that have been lying with no fuel in them or they're not been lubricated, probably the best thing to do is, where this banjo union is, just take that out, take the banjo off it, which is the fuel line, and basically when the top's on it like that, leave the top on with the nut, i.e. like this, and pour WD-40 in here, or at least some degreaser, and leave it for some period of time. And what you'll find then is this might break out easier, because once that stem has gone, the carburetor's basically goosed. You've had it. And as I say, even though this floats up and down on this stem, if there's any fluid in there, what's going to happen is one, at least half of the float, the brass float, is lying in fluid. So if the hole is at the bottom, which it probably would be, it's going to slowly fill up, and then eventually it's going to sink. This might take days, weeks, months, years, or whatever. But then this carburetor, this actual cut-off is not going to work because the float's not going up against it, and you could end up with a fire. This is why a few E-Types have gone up in flames, even though they have an overflow petrol pipe on these that goes below the engine, so hopefully the fuel doesn't go on anything, but you never know. And these things are £14 each. I mean, really, for what it costs to replace 3 of them, it isn't worth the risk, not for the prices that E-Types go for these days. Anyway, I just wanted to show that. The other thing is, when you're changing out this valve, you can see the valve in there, in this brass stem, and you get this with the kit, and you can also get new rods for the hinge. When you're doing them, when you want to set them up, you can see this in the E-Type manual, or Haynes manual, you basically just use a 7/16 rod across there, and that will give you the right distance for the valve, to close the valve off. So that was a few tips there, but please gents, or anybody doing any type of carburetor with a flow like this, if these floats don't work, dump them. They're really not worth the risk. I mean, for that kind of money, it's, you know, it's just silly not to change them out. This one is got in it, and this one's absolutely dry, but I'm still not going to use it. I'm still going to change the 3 of them, but that's entirely up to you. But hopefully there's a few little tips there. And as you can see, I'm going to start putting all these carburetors back together. Most of it is done now, but I actually can't finish them because I need to put these, drill these holes into these throttle valves for the stops, and whether I have to take them out and drill them or I can drill them in situ is another matter, but I can't actually load everything back onto them until they're done. So yeah, it's you know, these are a lot of work, these carburetors, so you know, the more you put into them, the better performance you're going to get. So yeah, stay safe, and looking on Dave Jaguar 66 for any updates as I start to build this. When the floats turn up, it's Christmas, so the post is an issue. Anyway, thanks for now. Bye.